you might have learned in this movie that MySpace has a like top eight where you put your like top eight friends. Do you have a top eight? Would you care to share any of them? You don't have to, but I'm just curious if you could like pick your top eight from your friends. And it was a an emotional choice when you were, back in the days when it first came out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm gonna go in no order at all. I'm just gonna choose my top eight friends, and if they're watching this, they're gonna get so offended. Uh,
Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Our Pass, and I'm talking to Izaac Wang about Didi, which is coming to DC area theaters on August 2nd, 2024. I'm going to talk to him right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. Also, a lot. Thank you. All right, so thanks so much for joining me today. I've got Izaac Wang, the star of Didi. He plays Didi, he plays Chris, he plays Wang Wang. He has all these personalities, all these hats he wears. That movie is coming to DC area theaters on August 2nd, 2024. It is an emotional coming of age story about growing up in everyone's favorite time, those teenage years, the kind of tumultuous years when you try to discover yourself. And this has the added kind of flavor of also having like an Asian immigrant perspective as well. It is beautiful, it is emotional, it is a very well film, and I really loved your character as well. So I'm excited to talk to you, and thanks so much for joining me.
of course, thank you for having me.
Of course. So, how did you get involved in this film? Like, how did you kind of get this role, and what appealed to it about to this role about you?
Yeah, I mean, I got this role through like, any normal audition process. Got the audition from my manager and then I, did it, obviously. Eventually got a few callbacks, did a few testing runs, went to Sundance Labs with Sean, and then finally I got the role. But I mean, my initial view on the character was like when Sean sent it over for my first ever audition, I was like, I kind of really didn't like the character much. And it honestly wasn't because I didn't actually like the character, like how the character was or like who the character was. Actually, no, I didn't dislike it for who the character was. I didn't dislike it for how the character was written, I'll say. And I also didn't dislike the script either. I didn't dislike any of those factors. The number one thing that I disliked is I didn't feel comfortable with the fact that I was going to try to go for a lead dramatic role with a character that was like a more insecure, more less confident, more vulnerable version of myself. I didn't want to make myself vulnerable to do that because I'm mostly a comedic actor as well. I really haven't done any dramatic leads at all, right? And so I actually haven't done a lead at all before either. So it was kind of just like a little bit nerve-wracking, but eventually like throughout the process I slowly got more used to the character and eventually I came to love him. So
So, I mean, I understand you are too cool. You are way up there. So you weren't sure if you could play like an awkward kid. I mean, no, that makes sense though. It's tough to be vulnerable when you're used to, I know you do a lot of voice work where, you're not on screen, and also, comedic stuff is very different from drama. So that is a big step. I mean, I will say you did a fantastic job in it, and this is a really great first lead performance for you to have on your resume. So,
thank you.
and so, Chris is, a first generation Asian American immigrant. Like, are you like what generation Asian American are you? I know that might, I don't know if that played a key part in like you liking this role, like having that cultural background as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Gen Z, and my cultural background as an Asian is I am 50% Lao and 50% Chinese. And I'm probably some random other like Asians thrown in there. At some point in my bloodline, my grandma, great great grandma probably got with some like Vietnamese dude. But
Just to sprinkle some extra spice in there,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
just a little bit of
just like that.
seasoning down
Yeah.
in there. But I mean, I don't think my cultural background really affected this role much. I think that like mostly it was just kind of, acting, pretending, right? And I mean the fact that I am already basically Asian American, well not basically, I am Asian American. All the factors really just led up to this role, and so except for the fact that I can't speak Chinese, that was a difficult and on tour, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because, yeah, I mean, your character, spoke mostly English, but you did have some Chinese. Did you work with a dialect coach, or did you learn a little bit more? And after, have you kind of like kept that up? I know that was
Yeah.
something important to me, was to try to learn an Asian language when I was younger. So I don't know if that's something that you've tried to do now.
I mean, now I've always wanted to learn how to speak Japanese, which I think is the basic Asian language everyone kind of wants to learn, you know? But I think that, like, to me, I think it's also important that at some point I should also try to learn Chinese. And like I obviously didn't end up learning Chinese for this movie because there's not enough time, and Chinese is a very difficult language.
Right, yeah,
But
I hear.
yeah, but Sean like helped me like learn how to like talk and like actually try to sound like I know Chinese, as well as our production designer Hanrui, right?
Yeah.
She's the production designer, and she also helped because she is a native Chinese speaker. So
Well, and that's interesting because one of the things that I, really appreciate about this film were kind of like the subtle Asian influences and like the subtle acts of rebellion that your character had. I completely understood. Like, your parents are from China, like they had their Chinese traditions, and you were more American. And so there were like little things that there weren't really projected, but if you were looking for them, you picked up, like how in dinner you were using a fork, whereas your mother and grandmother were using chopsticks, or how like you spoke English mostly and just little glimpses of Chinese here and there.
yeah.
Was that, I assume that that was all in the script. I assume that that was stuff that was specifically highlighted, but was that something that that the director wanted to emphasize, or was that just kind of like how you naturally went about this role?
Yeah, I mean, if you really like want to learn more about like how Sean wanted to emphasize the fact that Chris wanted to be more American instead of like uh Chinese. I mean I also have never heard him answer this question. Or maybe I have and I kind of just forgot. But that would be an interesting question to ask him. But from my perspective, I think that Chris, like he's a character that like does want to try to fit in with everyone else, and so obviously he would want to try to be more American, right? By using a fork and like only mainly speaking in American, or sorry, not American English. Um, but I mean, I feel like there are like hidden parts of him that like like they do obviously. He probably obviously does not know how to use chopsticks, right? I don't think his
Mhm.
mom would ever let him get away with not knowing how to use chopsticks, and like his mom would obviously probably love it more if he spoke fluent Chinese. But I mean, the overall influence of the character being more American than Chinese was Sean. That
Yeah.
was mostly Sean's ideas, and I was kind of just there to play out that role. So
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think it's a pretty standard character arc. That's kind of my arc too. Like growing up, I wanted to do all American, and then as I got older, I was like, oh, I really should like connect with my Asian past. And
yeah,
now that it's harder and I'm older and it's tough for me to do, I should like learn a language and try to go to Japan and things like that. So I think that's a very common thing for kids of immigrant parents. They want to assimilate to whatever their home country is.
exactly.
So other than like, picking up Chinese, little phrases here and there, was there anything else you had to do to prepare to play the character of Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I had to basically learn how to skate. I basically barely knew how to skate beforehand, right? I mean, I could get on a board and I could roll, but I sucked at it. And like but now I can like get on a board and I can like actually roll around on a skate park and stuff. And I can also barely do an ollie. I can like kind of get up, but other than that, I mean, there was not much I had to learn leading into this role. I guess I did have to learn how to use a T9 flip phone, which kind of sucked. Uh, that was a bad experience. And I mean, like that was just so difficult, like using that flip phone, like typing was just insanely hard, and I don't know how people used to do it back then. But other than that, yeah, there's nothing much I had to really learn going into this. I guess maybe like a little bit of 2008 culture, but yeah.
You kids don't know how easy you have it back in the days when you had to press the button multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, even if I were a kid back in that day and I had to use one of those phones, I would literally only use the kick out phones, like the one with the actual
Yep.
keyboard
Yep.
instead of the T9. Because like I don't think I could ever actually officially learn how to use a T9.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this sounds like a great, movie experience for you. Not only did you get like a leading role, you learned how to skateboard, which is awesome. I mean, not like really, you can at least hold your own at the skate park. You learn a little bit of Chinese. It sounds like a really fantastic like first role for you, to be honest.
Yeah, although it was a little bit difficult doing on these first timers. Yes, it was a fantastic experience.
And one of the things I really love is like the interaction. Like this is a lot of the humor and also a lot of like the emotional pain is the interactions between you and like your friend group. Was any of that improvised? Because it seems like there were a lot of scenes where you kids were just like having fun, being silly. Was that like part of I mean, I'm sure it was part of the script, but were some of that, did you like improvise when you were doing that just to make it more natural, or just because you were like in the moment?
Yeah, so Sean really wanted us to improv a lot because, one, most of the kids are first time actors, and he kind of wanted that raw feeling of them not being actual actors, but just being boys, you know, and girls. And then two, um, Sean really wanted us to improv to get out that feeling of just being raw, you know, like being ourselves. And so a lot of the scenes, yes, with like the dudes and like all basically like the skater boys, me, Raul, Aaron, um, those are all mostly improv, right? And so I mean, we obviously did like try to stick to the core idea of the script and get the point across that Sean wanted us to get a point across. Like for example, like we had the idea that, you know, obviously Aaron's mother is gay, right? And I mean, sorry, no, Aaron's mother is cancer, and camo shorts are gay, right? And we took
Yeah.
those two ideas, and with the three of us there, we kind of just like played off of that in improv. And like Aaron was like, "You can't have cancer and be gay. That's not how it works," you know. Like lines like that. Those are just all improv, you know. But yeah, no, literally, most of the scenes were just improv, and that's Sean's goal, and that was what Sean really wanted.
Which is that's a great way to also do it when you've got kids, like you said, kids who haven't acted a ton. Like it's just a way to make everyone feel more natural, make the dialogue feel just like what you would expect kids to say, like the stupid, silly, ridiculous things that kids say when they're kind of trying to define themselves.
Exactly.
And speaking of the skate park, like, and your character is recording some of the videos. Did you actually get to record any of those? Like, was that, did you learn, video recording slash editing skills, or was that all like post when they would go and like do the tricks?
I mean, it was mostly like I mean, Sean would sometimes go off like on days where I didn't have to work and Sean would go film the skate stuff with the kids. But I mean, there's the scenes where I was shown actually filming, you know, I had to film, right? And like I think that I did have to learn a little bit. I mean, not I think I know I had to learn a little bit about how to record like a filmer. But I mean, other than that, I didn't really have to learn a lot of editing. So it was mostly just learning how to film and filming some of the stuff for the guys.
Yeah, no, that's again another solid skill for you to have in your repertoire. Skating, Chinese, filming. Like I feel like you should just start a YouTube channel. Maybe you already have. I don't know.
I mean, I wish.
That's never, you're never too young to start. So I know we have limited time. I'm gonna switch to it's just a lightning round, just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. You can feel free to skip any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them light and answerable.
Okay.
First question. There is a lot of emotion and turmoil between you and your sister in this film. Do you have any siblings?
I do not.
All right. You also have a like favorite sweatshirt that you keep stealing from your sister in this movie. Do you have like a favorite hoodie or sweatshirt that you wear?
Yeah, all the time. I have like, but I do have a bunch of hoodies, I guess, but I prefer like heavier hoodies, like ones that are more made out of cotton and more heavyweight. And I have one hoodie that I wear most of the time, so.
There you go. Just like your character. You did say that you learned how to skate for this film. What is your best trick? Or do you have a best trick?
The ollie, which is the only trick I can do, so.
That is one more trick than I can do on a skateboard, so you'd be happy about that. Have you ever used MySpace?
No, never, never even heard about it before this movie.
It was a special time. Now, you might have learned in this movie that MySpace has a like top eight where you put your like top eight friends. Do you have a top eight? Would you care to share any of them? You don't have to, but I'm just curious if you could like pick your top eight from your friends. And it was a an emotional choice when you were, back in the days when it first came out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm gonna go in no order at all. I'm just gonna choose my top eight friends, and if they're watching this, they're gonna get so offended. I'm gonna go T, Jara, Corbin, Elam, Raul, and Aaron, Sean. How many am I at? Seven?
You're at seven. You're at seven.
Got one more. Uh. Oh man. Oh God.
You
Okay.
save it for a wild card. It could be whoever you like at the moment, right?
Okay. Whoever I like at the moment. Uh, Sophia.
There we
There.
go. Perfect. There you go. That's a solid top eight. Um, I'm sure you can, but this film is also about you trying to rebel against your Chinese roots. Can you use chopsticks?
Yes, I can. If oh wait, no, terribly though. I use them like scissors. I don't actually use them like I mean, I know how to use them normally, but it's just so uncomfortable and I can't figure it out. Like I don't like it, you know? It doesn't feel right in my hands. So I kind of use it this weird way where I hold them like pencils and I kind of squish them together.
Hey, you know what? If it gets food in your mouth, that's all that matters. Eventually, when you're hungry enough, you'll learn to use it more efficiently. Um, when was the last time you ate rice?
Yesterday.
All right. Good Asian answer. Thank you very much. And I'm sure I know the answer to this, but I have to ask, do you take your shoes off when you go in the house?
Oh, always 100%. And socks off too. I think that's like if you have if you're like true Asian, you're like shoes off, socks off. Unless you're older. I noticed that like younger people, actually no, everyone kind of just keeps their socks on. I guess it's 50-50 really. Depends on what type of Asian you are. If you're more of a socks off or socks on.
Yeah, I think that's right. True Asian, you got the slippers, which I don't have, but some
Oh
some
yeah,
places have the
that's
slippers.
real Asian. That's real Asian. My grandma does that.
Yeah, my Japanese family does that too. So the film is coming out. It's coming to DC theaters on August 2nd, 2024, and nationwide on August 9th, 2024. You are out promoting the film, getting the word out. But after people see you in DD, do you have anything else they can look forward to? Do you have any other projects on the horizon?
I mean, hopefully, yeah, I do have some things coming up. But they're mostly just animations, so hopefully some more IRL stuff soon.
That's nice. A nice like light break after you kind of let yourself out there and be vulnerable in this dramatic role.
Yeah, of always.
Awesome. Well, you can look forward to those, but first check out Didi coming to DC area theaters on August 2nd, 2024, and nationwide on August 9th, 2024. This is Izaac Wang, the star. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
That was Izaac Wang talking about Didi, which is coming to DC area theaters on August 2nd, 2024. It is a moving, emotional coming of age story about everyone's favorite time, those teenage years, and having an Asian immigrant background might affect that. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.